Wells, who was born actually in Holly Springs, Mississippi, and did much of her liberation work, where she did much of her liberation work in Memphis before continuing that work in Chicago, Illinois. But young sisters and brothers are given a rapper such as Yo Gotti, right? And he becomes the exemplar for Memphis, Tennessee, that the power structure would like for them to identify with, so boys can grow up to want to accumulate wealth for the purpose of throwing it at strippers, right? While the girls at the same time can dance as hustlers and provoke men to throw this money at them, so then they can in turn spend this money with businesses controlled by Europeans, Asians, and Arabs, so that they can feel more human. And they've bought into and been taught this idea of humanity that equates one's human worth with one's ability to accumulate man-made objects and participate in neo-colonial monopoly capitalism. So it's our responsibility to combat this what I call this GED, and give the youth the truth about exemplars, about people such as Ida B. Wells, so they will want to emulate her instead. She was unbought and unbossed, much like Shirley Chisholm, and incorruptible by money as many entertainers are. She worked for our collective freedom, while rappers such as Yo Gotti are only concerned about their individual ability to be rich and famous, regardless of how harmful his message is to the youth in our communities. We could literally go on for hours with examples such as this, and we should, but we won't do that right here. But as teachers that are preparing lessons, I think that this is a sound methodological approach that our ancestors and many of our parents have applied in order to give our people an appropriate cultural grounding so that we can win. We can combat GED by exposing youth to these exemplars in relevant ways so that they will be able to potentially carry on the tradition of these ancestors. And also the watered down, McDonaldized accounts of these people that may be cute during the month of February, that a lot of us, we see them and they really don't do the person justice. They're insufficient, they're inadequate, and they're counterproductive. So we have to go further, go and dig deeper and do more research and provide the youth with more and make these people, these exemplars more relevant. Seemingly small things, I'm almost finished, but seemingly small things can be done to promote Pan-Africanism in the classroom, such as embracing the students' full names. Like a lot of times, like I'll have difficulty remembering a student's name. They may be from Ethiopia or from Nigeria, and they'll attempt to try to make things easier for me by saying, oh, well, no, you can just call me such and such. And I say, no, I need to learn your name. That is my responsibility. There's nothing difficult about your name. If I seen Kwame Ture said this in a lecture I saw at one point. If we can memorize and understand and easily pronounce Mikhail Gorbachev, then we should be able to say names of African descent as well. Like we can do that. Like it's not that hard. So, pronouncing names of students, and also trying to help the students to not be embarrassed by their names. Also, students should be asked what their mean. I think we can ask students what their name means. Like, what's the meaning of your name? Because your name carries a meaning. It has a meaning. And every time somebody calls you that name, that meaning should be reinforced within you. And you should, they should be able to think about that. Let me see. Also, if they have a namesake of an African figure, then this could be highlighted. I have a student, young sister, her last name is Dunbar. So the first day she came into the class, I said, oh, you know about Paul Laurence Dunbar? So she didn't. She hasn't been taught about Paul Laurence Dunbar. So this becomes an ongoing conversation between her and I. We talk about Paul Laurence Dunbar. So I've had students where I may say, if they're a namesake, I say, okay, make this person proud. Like, make Paul Laurence Dunbar proud, or I may offer some literature or something like that. But just these ways to make connections, like between the student and that person. I think also we have to work toward where a lot of students, young sisters will describe the African hair braiders as the Africans. I think we have to figure out a way to make the Africans us, part of us. Make them part of us. So they're not just the people that braid hair real nice, that we feel different from. It was like, yeah, they're melanated, but we're not the same. And not to say that we're monolithic, because I know that conversation comes up a lot. But I think there's a lot more universality and cultural unity than there are differences. I think Jope has a book about that, the cultural unity of Black Africa. Sheikh Anta Jope's books where he writes about that. Food is another part of our shared culture. You got to eat. Everybody likes to eat. I know I have had so-called African American students that enjoy cassava leaf. I would like to try that. They have had cassava leaf and they enjoy it. This is probably enjoyable due to